Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. Before we started, we just wanted to give a quick shout out to all our brave men and women overseas in the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, whatever you serve and however you serve. We just wanted to say thank you. And if you are a family member of someone who has served, we want to just give you a special thank you as well from all of the Infinity Bros to you. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we just want to celebrate and thank you. So, as always, we love you 3000 and hope you enjoy the podcast. Thanks. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. I'm your host, Max Mosier. Today we talk about Robert Pattinson being named as the Batman. We're going to give you our feedback and our thoughts on that. Mark talks about Brightburn and John Wick 3. I talk about Aladdin. We break down the Westworld trailer and get into what's hot, what's not in the world of pop culture. We'll finally end it with a top 5 we know you won't want to miss. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Infinity Bros podcast. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. I am your host, Max Mosier. We are recording live today. No Skype recording. That creates its own set of challenges and rules, but we're going to figure it out nonetheless. 2 other Infinity Bros here with me today. I've got to my left, down the couch line, Zane Ellis.
What's up?
Zane, you're going to have to be louder this time around. You know that, right?
Yeah, I've been instructed multiple times that I have not been speaking loud enough, so we're going to change that.
Because you talk like this, and you have really strong opinions in this voice. Really excited.
I need you to be the Ant-Man, Scott.
Nobody gets that bit but us. It's okay. And then I'm looking across at him. I don't even know if Zane's got a really good angle on him. He's messing with his Yeti. Keeps pressing mute. Maybe we'll keep that in editing. We'll find out.
Nope, I'm going to be unmuted.
Can I introduce you first before you come in guns hot like that? Mark Jones, everybody.
Wubba-lubba-dub-dub!
Mark, I'm so glad you're here. It's really great to see you. You're crashing at our house this weekend with your fiance, and you were crashing at my house. It's really fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. It's really exciting.
I'm happy that you think of me as a friend, and you are a great host, and your wife, Sarah, is
We're an okay
fantastic.
host. We didn't provide breakfast. You paid for the breakfast this morning, so that's okay.
It's the least I can do for you.
That's true. That is a good point. How was the air mattress last night? But we're tackling the hard stuff today.
Oh, yeah, I was really impressed with your mattress. Usually I sleep on air mattresses, and they're not as fancy as the one you provided.
If you could rate it, and we'll talk about our rating system in a bit, so don't worry about it if you don't understand what he's doing here. On a scale of 1 to 6, what would you rate our...
You wanted me to rate it a 69, Zane?
You can't rate it a 69, Zane. That's ridiculous.
Okay, well, I would rate it a 5. Just because, air mattresses don't give the best back support, but it was still, I slept very well, so that's...
So impressive. Ours is the Pontiac of air mattresses. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Whoa, why are you going guns hot
Not
at Pontiac?
Pontiac, but...
Well, it was a 5 out of 6.
Maybe like okay.
It's good, but
maybe
it's not
like
the
a Lincoln.
Best. Wow. What would be a 6 in regards to cars for your ranking?
Probably like a McLaren or like a Lamborghini,
okay.
Something more higher end that,
yeah,
you could buy a house or a Lamborghini. It's up to you.
That's a good point. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast. We hope that you're enjoying your time with us. We are a pop culture podcast. We're going to talk about movies, film, TV, Elemental P, all that jazz. We will not be talking about air mattresses for the duration of this podcast. Do not worry. We hope that you're checking us out for the first time, and we have a lot of listener feedback to get to this week, guys. Are you excited about that, Zane? I
am super pumped. I want to know what people have to say.
It's probably not going to be good, to be honest, Zane, but we're going to do our best to have it be fun. So we are on iTunes, which is a lot of fun. And so I've got a couple different ratings that I want to get to. Zane, did you know that we have 18 different 5-star ratings on our iTunes page?
I did not know that.
How many of other ratings do you think we have?
Of non-5-star ratings, 5.
We don't have any other ratings except for 5-star ratings. We are, if you go to our page, it says 5.0 out of 5. So we're basically cream of the crop.
We're basically out here batting 1,000 is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it means that all of us have a mom or a dad that's given us a 5.
That's true, but now you're putting it out there that we do have enemies who live amongst us that could go out there to sabotage our 5 out of 5 ranking.
Who would be the one person out of our group to put that as lower than a 5? Would that be you, Mark? Honestly, that probably fits your personality.
I don't think it would be me because I'm a part of this. I don't want us to look bad.
I know, but somebody in our group might try to sabotage it just for kicks and giggles, and I feel like that might be you.
I think it might be you that you're pressing this on me so hard.
No, I'm not mad. I'm
not. I did not say you're mad, Max.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and just read the reviews here. The first one comes from Lukey Edlund. Do you think this guy's related to Isaac? Because Isaac's last name is Edlund.
I mean, there's a chance. I'm gonna guess yes. Maybe like a distant cousin.
It's about a 98% chance. But he says, quality podcast. I listen to these guys on my way into work. They never fail to make me laugh and think critically. Just an all-around wholesome podcast. If you're into the MCU or nerd culture, this is the podcast for you. Lukey, thank you very much. We really appreciate your feedback. Giving a 5 out of 5. That's pretty doggone good rating, Zane. What do you think?
I would have to agree with Luke there. I'm pretty sure we have really good opinions, and I'm glad people like them.
Do you listen to us on the way into work, Mark?
I listen to us at work.
I also listen to us at work.
I don't know how you can do that while you play laser tag. That seems kind of destructive.
That is hurtful, Mark. Jeez, come on. Don't go putting my stuff out there, okay? My pizza parties and my laser tag are my own business. The next one comes from K Manimal. K Manimal. 5 stars. Great discussion on nerd culture, he or she says. These guys are a great listen to and learn from. These are great to listen to and learn from. Informative, even if you're not super knowledgeable on the subject. Respectful of each other's opinions. I don't know if they listen to the show. And voices through heated topics. Very nostalgic listening to discussions about my childhood heroes. Are they talking about Detective Pikachu, or are they talking about like Marvel, or like what do you think they're referring to with the childhood heroes?
I just want to go back to the whole, respecting thing. Like, are we sure they're listening to our podcast?
Did they listen to the Game of Thrones podcast? Because, I mean, Isaac goes, yeah, I really liked it. And then Robbie goes, did you watch the same show that I watched today? Like, literally, that was Robbie's feedback after that. I just don't see what K Manimal sees in us. Maybe we just are too hard on ourselves, Zane.
Maybe K Manimal just sees, the positivity and just sees the better part of ourselves that we don't even see.
That's a great point.
Yuck.
Yeah, I might be with you, Mark, on that. I agree. 5 out of 5. Thanks, K Manimal. We really appreciate it. And then we've got G10DWI. Woof. Yeah, that one could be bad. Kind of nerdy, but I guess if you guys like that stuff, it'd be good for you. 5 out of 5. That might be the most lackluster 5 out of 5 star I've ever read in my life.
I think that was a shot in the dark.
I kind of feel like that whoever left that review wears jorts on a regular basis.
There's a good chance that G10DWI doesn't have great ways of traveling to and from home, but I digress. We have one more 5-star rating because, Zane, we don't have anything below 5 stars because we're just that perfect,
Yeah, definitely.
You get it. New podcast. We're on episode 7. We're basically famous now. The last one says just simply wow. From a bear among bison. You want smart, clever, handsome, and insightful? They have all of that. And that's just Isaac. The rest of the crew have some redeeming qualities as well. I give this podcast a 6 Infinity Stones out of 6. Finally, someone uses the rating system, Mark. Someone is using our rating system for us. It's really nice.
I'm happy that we finally broken through the pop culture ceiling.
It's about time. This is ridiculous. It gets out of control for me. The 5 out of 5s that nobody has come in until a bear among bison to say, hey, 6 out of 6. But you may be listening to our podcast for the first time, and you may not understand our rating system. So we're going to go ahead and place our rating bumper right here.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible, and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step.
All right, we should probably get to the show now. What do you think, guys? You want to get going? Should we get started?
I think that's a good plan.
We got a pretty busy show, but we're not going to bury the lead. We're going to break right into it right out the gate. Last week, it was announced that Robert Pattinson, yes, Twilight's Robert Pattinson, will be taking over as the Batman in the Matt Reeves directed and written series. Is it called The Batman? I don't know.
I think that's the working title, is The Batman.
The Batman, which it's supposed to be...
Not Batman, not a Batman, The Batman.
Well, that's really good.
If my sisters ever hear this, they know that it's called The Batman.
I'm just glad that somebody is kind of defining that for me, because there's so many different Batmen that I need to know which one I'm trying to watch. So
Ferris, you're a novice DC watcher, so I'm glad that they're putting it out there for you, that you know it's the Batman, not like, oh, here's Sunday night Batman, or Tuesday morning Batman. We got the Batman.
Here's Adam West Batman. Here's Kevin Conroy Batman. Here's the Batman, played by the guy from Twilight. Okay, cool. What do you guys just want to break this news down? Give me your opening thoughts. Zane, we'll start with you. What do you think of Robert Pattinson being hired? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What is your ranking of this news?
I guess I don't entirely hate it. Like, I think he really gets a bad rap just because of so much hate for the Twilight movies. But if you've seen anything else he's done, like, I don't think he's a terrible actor. And I think this will be a big opportunity to show what else he can possibly do. So I don't hate it, but I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
I think it's gonna be a great opportunity to see him take this role on. I mean, we go back to when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, and people just crapped on that and thought, oh, how could you have this dude that's kind of like, been in rom-coms and been not serious, take on this serious role? And, a lot of people went in thinking, negative towards this movie, and then all of a sudden, bam, Heath Ledger's Joker is like iconic now. Or I think that might be a good thing for the Batman with Robert Pattinson getting this bad. Maybe, not having the best rep right now, but once we go in there and, he gives his A-game performance and we're just blown away, and then we get, our socks rocked off like Lady Gaga style. So
this news is interesting to me. And you brought up what I was going to say already, is that we had this similar situation. I mean, probably what?
Almost 12 years ago.
12 years ago, I mean, with Heath Ledger. And then they kind of started unveiling all these pictures and these things of what he was doing. And it was like, oh, this is a fresh take. Have we had a bad Batman since maybe George Clooney?
Batman, yes. I mean, George Clooney, great Bruce Wayne. Just putting that out there.
So you would say that George Clooney is an above average, Bruce Wayne a below average Batman?
Yes. I mean, you put nipples on the suit and then that just throws in the trash right there.
Is that George's fault, though?
No, but I mean, he could have been like, hey guys, maybe, give me some tape to put over the nipples. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can blame him for that. I think he was okay in that role. I just don't think there's ever been a bad Batman. I don't think we've ever had a bad Batman. And I think that's really kind of important to keep in mind here, is if there hasn't been a bad Batman, then why are we freaking out about Robert Pattinson first? That's the first thing I would say. That's just my opinion. Like, I honestly don't remember a bad Batman from my perspective. I mean, every one of them has their own take. I think the only negative one I've ever thought was Ben Affleck. And Affleck, I thought, did a wonderful job in Batman versus Superman. And then everybody was terrible in Justice League. Everybody. So it didn't matter. But
except for Jason Momoa. I mean,
no, yeah. Jason Momoa was terrible in Justice League. They were all terrible.
I give that ranking a fan-fortastic.
My ranking? Like, you're ranking my ranking?
Yeah, I'm ranking that opinion.
Yeah, I'd give Justice League a 2 out of 6. 2 out of 6.
Well, I'm not fair. Until the Snyder cut comes out, I'm not going to comment on that.
Oh, here we go, the Snyder cut.
I want to comment on the on the Batman aspect. I think the Robert Pattinson Batman. I think what's so negative about it is a lot of people know him as, Edward from Twilight, if I'm right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good that we have the Twilight expert.
The resident expert, absolutely.
Zane is our Twilight go-to guy, so whatever he says on this subject goes. That's law.
And that's it was a teen heartthrob book and then movie and made a ton of money, so he is always going to carry that, just like like the Harry Potter guy. What's his name?
Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. He's gonna always just be known as Harry Potter, so he's always gonna be known as Edward from Twilight, Robert Pattinson.
Zane, what's your stance, real quick, on My Little Pony? Do you have any like feedback on that at all? What other teenage girl things that you've watched in your life do you know a lot about?
Are you asking Zane if he's a brony?
I am asking Zane if he's a brony because he has a lot of knowledge on Harry Potter and Twilight. I'm really impressed.
I love that it's
Wow,
like
he knew the actor's name. But...
yeah, it's just an actor's name, and suddenly that just equates to having tons of Twilight and Harry Potter knowledge.
Well, I just was wondering. It was either that or Charmed. It was the TV series Charmed. Maybe you watched that a lot. I don't know. You know a lot about people with powers that are dramatic.
I mean, that's valid, but I just know tons of random information. It's my curse.
You don't have
It's
to
his cross
yell.
to bear.
This is a podcast. You don't have to yell.
I'm sorry, I'm getting very excited.
Wait, going back on topic. I know we're getting a little off topic here, but what I wanted to finish with, a lot of people who are in, predominantly men who enjoy comic books, and especially Batman, they see, oh, the Twilight guy is now going to be Bruce Wayne and Batman. No, thank you. And I'm over here, and I think maybe we all can agree on this. Let's see this take.
Right.
I mean, that's what's going to make this special. So.
Yeah, I really like Pattinson in a movie called Remember Me, starring him and Emily DeRaven. From, let me make sure I'm saying that. Ravine? She's from Lost. She plays Claire in Lost. This movie comes out in 2010, I think, and it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. If you ever want to go see, if you want to get a cheap, free, like, you're on FX and you're trying to find some movie that you're trying to watch this one. This gets a 4.5 out of 6 from my end. I really like this movie a lot. And Remember Me stars him in that. He just does an awesome job in that. I think Twilight, that's part of his resume. Like, everybody has a movie along the way that they had to make for money, or they had to kind of, I don't know, sell out for. I don't know. Is that a fair way to say that?
I wouldn't say it would be selling out for Robert. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't have his IMDb page in front of me, but I would assume Twilight's got to be one of his first movies. So it's like, that's his first break. That's what gets him into the ether of pop culture.
Right. Well, not only that, but like that still was a very popular movie. Like, he grew in popularity because of that. And so it might not be a movie that's something that we enjoy, but many people did.
He can hate the movie, or we can hate the movie more so than others, but the reality is that's why he's in Hollywood, is because of that series. And that series was successful because they did a great job with storytelling, and he did do a great job. I haven't watched those movies. I think I watched the last one to help out Sarah's addiction with that, but yeah, I'm sure I'm assuming he did his job in that role, and I'm assuming he fulfilled his role very well. I just don't think it's fair to immediately send him to the side on the Batman, because we did that. I think a lot of people did that with Ledger. I think a lot of people did that with Affleck, and I think Affleck turned out phenomenally. He was the best part of Batman versus Superman as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. I don't think this news is as big of news as people are making it, personally. Because we got for listener feedback too, we got 3 or 4 different types of communication to be like, hey, when are you talking about this? Because we talked about Game of Thrones last week, so everybody was kind of expecting us to talk about that. And I don't know. I didn't feel like it didn't really hurt me or make me feel excited either way. There wasn't really anything. My perspective is, and this is maybe another discussion, is I don't need another Batman movie. I have plenty of Batman movies in my repertoire of my life. Now, how many Batman movies have we seen? I mean, like, even if we include Batman Return of the Joker, I mean, like, we can include that one. We've got Batman Returns, Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Batman versus Superman, Justice League. That's 11, and I'm sure there's others that I'm not even counting. So I'm just saying, like, I don't need another Batman movie. I've only had one Wonder Woman movie. I've only had a handful of Superman movies in my time, since I know there were movies before we were born, and those were really great. But like Man of Steel 2 would have been great. Aquaman 2, even to an extent, I'm all for that. It did really well in the box office. I would love a Flash movie. I'd love a Green Lantern movie. We talked about that on I think episode 2, Zane, you and I did. We were like, Green Lantern, give us that movie. Give us the right Green Lantern
But they gave
movie.
us a Green Lantern movie and that bombed.
They didn't do it
See,
right.
what
Give
won't
us a-
bomb now in this culture is Batman. Just like Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man for Marvel is what Batman is for DC. They're properties that if they, even if they half-assed it, they could still make a ton of money off of it. Because you think of not only putting out a movie, you're putting out merchandise, toys. There's a lot to go with it. When that Batman and Robin movie came out, know who had all the toys? This guy.
Mark Jones did?
Mark Jones did. Nipples and all. Just
That was the big
had
selling
my
point for
Batman and
you.
Robin toys.
Yeah, you were really excited about the nipples. You've brought up the nipples a couple different times,
A
actually.
lot,
this
yeah.
podcast.
Just twice, but
Twice is a lot. That's like 2 more times than Zane and I were going to bring it up.
That's
So
2 more times than anyone needs to bring up nipples in a podcast.
Well, no, I'm not talking just nipples in general. I'm talking about Batman nipples.
Well, let's
from
calm
Batman
down
and
on
Robin.
nipples and podcasts.
Now you may be
Zane.
bringing it up a third time.
Yeah,
See what you've done.
Yeah, Zane, like nipples, there are podcasts about nipples. Okay, let's give them their space. Okay, come on, seriously, don't be that guy. No, I just don't think. I don't think that there needs to be another Batman movie. I think I disagree with you on that. I think that DC has the characters to do it. I think Marvel has created the way to do it. And we were talking about this offline the other day. Is I think DC is primed to do Justice League right now. I wish they hadn't done it before. I wish now they were starting.
I think
it.
you're expecting too much from Warner Brothers
And
to
that's
do what
just
Marvel
frustrating.
did.
And
To comment further on, do we need another Batman? I think we could take another Batman. I don't think what we need another of, and the rumors have been that the villains in the Batman are or at least 2 of the main ones. They said there's gonna be like a handful of them, but the main are gonna be the Penguin and Catwoman. And you look back, it's like, well, they did that in Batman Returns. Like, why are you bringing another team up of the same villains when you have a whole arsenal and gallery of villains that haven't even been on the screen yet? So is it just, it's a safety net? It's like, hey, we want to be safe with this. We're Warner Brothers. We don't know what we're doing over here, but we're hoping we can just throw you Robert Pattinson, get those followers to come, and then Catwoman and Penguin. We'll throw them in there too, and bam, give us your money.
So from your perspective, this just seems like a grab bag. This seems like them throwing things against a wall, hoping something will stick.
I say if it ends up being Catwoman and the Penguin as the villains, kinda. I would agree with what you said. But them taking a take with a younger Bruce Wayne and Batman, I think that's a nice take, because we haven't had that. You look at all the people who played Batman. I mean, Christian Bale was in his late 20s, so I guess that would be a younger Batman. What's Robert Pattinson?
That's
Zane,
the
is he in his
Batman
late 20s
Begins
too, or early
movie.
30s?
Yeah, I think mid-20s around
So,
there.
But that's Batman Begins. That's
True.
what that movie is.
and I don't know if this is going to be an origin story. Hopefully it's not. We've already had, enough of those.
We've had enough of everything, Mark. There's no stage of
Not
Batman
enough.
we haven't had now. Even with
Give me Batman versus
even with,
Clayface. That's what I want. Clayface is one of my favorite. Or
Yeah,
do
you.
the only characters if you look back at the Tim Burton versions of Batman, I mean, he was even an executive producer for Forever and Batman and Robin. Give us a legit Mr. Freeze. Don't give us the Arnold Schwarzenegger, pun Freeze. Give us the legit, backstory, and you kind of feel for him like a Thanos in a sense, where it's like, oh, okay, I can see why, you want to do this to save the universe.
So you'd want Clayface. Who else would you want then to be villains? Like if I said, Mark, I'm going to give you the budget, you can pick whoever you want as villains to.
Give me Clayface. I'm gonna pick 3. Clayface. Give me Mr. Freeze, and then Condiment King.
I love the Condiment King take. That's brilliant. That's why we have you on this show, for takes like that.
Thank you.
What 3 would you want, Max?
No, that's a great question. I think if I could choose who I want to be, that's a great point. Honestly, Joker is fine. Give me more Joker. I'm fine.
Jared Leto.
I'm fine with more Joker. I don't like Jared Leto, but I think Joker is the antithesis to Batman. I'm fine with that. I don't know if I think a Penguin could be done correctly. There are some great runs where Penguin is just he ruins people's lives, where he will find something or somebody will betray him and then he'll just go the distance of like ruining their family, ruining their career, getting them to basically want to take their own life. And just then at that point, he comes to kill them. Like, that's the kind of penguin I want. I don't want the Danny DeVito penguin. I don't want that caricature. I want a crime boss that is intelligent and buys everybody. He has everybody in his back pocket. That's the kind of penguin I want. And then with Catwoman, I don't want this sexist figure anymore. I don't want this sexual body that's used for I'm serious. I don't want that. I think in the past with Michelle Pfeiffer's take, she was this kind of sexual icon almost. And even in the comics, the way they dress her up, she's kind of just this body for Bruce Wayne to engage in sexual intercourse with. And I don't know. That's not what I'm looking for.
Well, they didn't
in these
do
movies.
that with Anne Hathaway. But she was never called Catwoman though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, if you are going to talk about a sexual presence, that's Poison Ivy. That's the sexual presence that, like, if you want to play that up, okay, Mark, that's gross. But if you want to play that up, like, as a comic book character, that's the character that I would push that towards more so than Catwoman.
Who would you cast as Poison Ivy if that was there? Who's your
That's a great question. I don't know.
Who's what you're trying?
Would you want to go younger across the board on all these castings?
Oh, I feel like a mixed bag. Like if you're gonna do Penguin, I would almost want to do a little bit older. So you're not really getting an origin. Like he's already existing in the universe or in Gotham. Like he already has everything established. He already has everyone in their back pockets. If you do someone younger, how do they get everyone in their back pocket?
I think for me, honestly, now that I think out loud about this, give me Joker first act just to get the audience warmed up. And then give me Riddler second and third act.
Yes.
And then actually make Bruce Wayne be a detective. First act, like you could show that crime fighting and that like.
And I think that's what the Batman's
feel.
supposed to be. Is it's supposed to be more on the detective side where you actually see him investigate stuff. Yeah. I mean, you play any of the Arkham games, that's what you basically do.
Right. And I think that's something that they could definitely hit on really well. Is if they kind of took a page out of those Arkham games and. Yeah, just really give us that detective. Like we had it in like Christian Bale's more like the brawler and the fighting. Like we have yet to kind of have that Batman that really is that intellect that is out solving crimes. It's too much focused on, oh, I'm going to just go beat people up. Well, where's this intelligence that he's just going to outsmart everyone?
Or in The Dark Knight Rises where his issue is, oh, the bad guy Bane has a nuclear bomb. Oh, wait, no, it's Ra's al Ghul's daughter. And that's what... only Batman can solve that problem. Like, the military can't get involved. Oh, they blew up the bridge. We can't do anything. Okay.
Well, even going further, if Robert Pattinson does play this Batman as a... if he plays this Batman as a detective, he's going to go down as the best Batman of all time. Because the fans are going to freak out about it. The fans are going to love it. And then they're going to roll out a new trilogy because that's what fans want. It would be fresh, and you don't have to give us these crazy foils of Batman that we've had to watch over the years, from Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face to the Riddler being played by Jim Carrey. You could actually create decent characters that touch on some of the tones that the comic books talk of, but also stay in that realm of what made The Dark Knight such a special series. Now, I think The Dark Knight is a little overrated, and I think Zane would agree with me on that. That whole series as a whole is not as good as I think people give it credit for.
Those are strong words for Robbie Sauter not being in the room.
I know, and that's why we say it, right? But I'm just saying, I think you could give the best of both worlds. And if Robert Pattinson walks into this role and Matt Reeves sets him up to be a detective first and a crime fighter second, you are going to be opening up a brand new series, and DC's going to have some serious question marks on how do you connect him with Wonder Woman and what they should be doing with Shazam, but it probably won't happen. And then Aquaman, and then whatever other characters they decide to go forward with. Because DC, you can say that you don't have expectations of them, Mark, but DC's going to try Justice League again.
And I think you do that in the route of doing the Flashpoint paradox. If they get that Flash movie out, which they've talked about they're going to do the Flashpoint, you can kind of erase the Batfleck in some of your past, like they did with Days of Future Past. And if you do it properly and you retcon it it could turn out good because you're doing a storyline that is in the comics. So if he fixes something in, an alternate future or past or however you want to look at it, you could have different characters involved. So like you don't have to like, make a joke with like Jason Momoa or Gal Gadot about like, oh man, you look younger, Bruce. If they decided to connect the existing people.
It's just going to be really interesting to see what they do. Zane, any last second thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
No, I just really just agree with, I feel like a way you can get a fresh take on Batman is to really go to the detective side. And I know if that's the Batman they put out with Pattinson, that would get me more excited, and it would definitely get me more on the train of possibly what they could be rolling out, because that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from Batman.
For those that are wondering, Pattinson was born in 86, so that would make him 30. I'm bad at
33 this year, or
Am I bad at math? I am bad at math.
he'd either be 33 or be turning 33.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I look at that. You can do 20 years with that character if it's that good. And I think that's what DC's trying to try here. So hopefully they go full detective, because if you go full detective, I think people are going to think he's the best Batman ever. So that's what it is. So, Mark, some movies came out in the last 2 weeks. You and I were able to go catch a couple of them. Zane, did you catch John Wick or any other movies this week?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Possibly tonight.
Okay. Well, we're going to give some non-spoiler reviews. What, Mark?
Is that even possible?
We're going to do our best to give non-spoiler reviews. So maybe try not to give away any major plot points. Mark, you saw John Wick 3 and Brightburn.
Yeah, I did with that last one.
Why don't you start with one, then I'll talk about Aladdin, then you can talk about your other one. So which one do you want to start with?
I'll start with Brightburn.
Okay.
Brightburn tells a story, or they advertise it as, what if Superman grows up in Kansas, but then turns out evil, and that's good what if story. So I go to this movie, and I had heard and read that it was supposed to be on the scarier end, and I guess the synopsis of it is it's a straight up horror movie. It is legit terrifying. I went with my fiance on our anniversary on Thursday.
Happy anniversary, honey.
Yep, and she was closing her eyes for most of the movie because she thought it was terrifying, and like was bawling how scary it was afterwards. And was upset that I didn't tell her it was a full-on horror movie, and I'm thinking, I didn't know it was going to be a horror movie, but end of the day, it tells a good. And the actor who plays Brandon Breyer, the evil supervillain, it's basically a supervillain origin story in a sense. But I think what makes it the most creepy is this kid actor, shows like zero emotion for some of his actions, even though it's portrayed that he grows up in this loving family. But events happen where he kind of you can see he's turning evil, and he's just doing this out of a bloodlust, and he just knows he can't be like. You just see him grow as knowing how powerful he gets, and see the different actions he does, like murders that he commits in a sense, and it's gruesome. It's a gory movie too, which I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a big gory person anymore. I used to love watching gore movies like Saw and stuff, but it was over the top for me. And I even like the whole aspect at the end is it's just a terrifying aspect of what do you do in a world where there are no heroes, and now there's this being that's powerful and can't be stopped by anything.
And you're not going to break down what happens at the end, thankfully, so if people want to go see it, but you're a horror guy. You've said that before.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy a good horror. I'm not, if I know the movie's going to be gory, I will, at this point in my life, I probably won't go see it because I'm not into gore anymore, but give me a Jason movie. That could be a new Jason movie. If that's gory, I'll go see it because it's Jason.
Would you consider this movie a slasher film?
Oh, no.
Okay, because I'm reading reviews about it that have said, oh, it's kind of a slasher film towards the back end. Because, I mean, it's not, I don't think this is a secret.
Actually,
they're showing it in the trailer.
Yeah.
They're killing a lot of people.
There are a lot of killing. I guess when I think of a slasher, it's, I guess, yeah, you could say it's almost a slasher with the ending, how he kind of goes on a little bit of a rampage in the town, or with the people in the town.
How did the movie look for being only a $7 million budget?
Well, I thought it was $9 million. and then you had corrected me the other last night that it was 7 million, and it would have fooled me with some of the flying sequences and what they do for some CGI. It was, I mean, beautifully shot. I mean, maybe how they kept their budget low. They probably filmed everything in one location, and
How do you think that's because of James Gunn and all his connections?
probably, I'm sure he maybe have done throw it a little favors or asked for a few favors.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just imagine he does that. What was really interesting about reading about this movie, and I'll post some links to this as well, is they were planning on unveiling this at Comic-Con last year. Well, that was around the same time that James Gunn's old Twitter comments that got him initially fired from Disney were surfacing. So they didn't even get to really market this movie nearly as much as they wanted to. And they almost, I guess, at times were considering pulling Gunn from a producer role. Like they were going to give him in the credits, but they weren't going to put it in the trailers. Like if you watch the Brightburn trailers, you're seeing from the mind of James Gunn, stuff like that. Did you feel his flavor in this movie? I know there were Slither people in it. I know he wrote and directed that. I mean, did you feel like this was a James Gunn film? I know his family wrote it, but how did you feel about it?
It definitely felt like a James Gunn-esque movie. I mean, he was even an executive producer for Dawn of the Dead, I believe.
He directed that, I believe. I'll look it up while you're talking.
I thought Snyder directed it and he might have produced it. Either way, but
or he wrote it, I bet.
Or wrote it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It felt very James Gunn, which after having some reflection on it, it's like, man, I wonder what he could do if they'd made like a Guardians of the Galaxy horror movie. Like, can you imagine that? And
I cannot.
That would be. I think he could do some terrifying stuff, but
he wrote the screenplay for Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, but he definitely had his flavor with Brightburn in this for the horror aspect of it.
Do you consider this more of a Saw movie then?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't nonstop gore. Just some of the scenes where you see Brandon Breyer, the evil Superman, in quotations. Just some of his actions just are over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't need to see that up close. I could see that from a distance. That's all I needed. I knew what he was doing over there. I didn't need to see the finished product.
I would have thought with a $7 million budget that they would try to kind of play with your mind a little bit and have him drag people like into the shadows a lot.
Oh, no, that happened. Like they didn't show everyone's, finished remains.
Okay.
Just a few that were like, I could have been okay without this.
What was your rating of this movie?
Gosh. I think a combo of it being like a supervillain origin story. And I mean, it was well done. I mean, there were some cracks I thought or some plot holes that you could maybe point out if we dive deep like we did with Endgame. But I would give it a 5 out of 6. I think it was pretty good.
That's a pretty high.
And they kind of set it up at the end that there could be sequels, and even James Gunn himself has said, "Yeah, we could do a Brightburn universe." So,
wow, a James Gunn Brightburn-led universe sounds like it will make a lot of money. So, sounds like I won't be going to see it though.
Well, once it comes out on Blu-ray, you can see it during the day. Open up all these blinds.
You can invite us over.
Child, yeah,
we can hold your hand.
Yeah,
like when we watched it for the first time.
Yeah, we could get some incense going, and it'll be fine.
I don't remember burning incense for it, but we can do that for Brightburn.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's good. Zane, are you gonna go see Brightburn?
Yeah, I definitely it was one of those things I was like, this looks pretty good, but after hearing Mark saying it's way more of a horror movie, that definitely got more of my attention because I love horror movies, and I feel like we can get more of that superhero type genre into horror, and because it's something that really hasn't been done before. So just listening to Mark talk about it, it definitely has me more excited to see it.
And if you go to your whatever local movie theater is close to you, and you go to their website, it does list it as horror as a genre. And I thought in my head, well, they can't list it as an action movie because it's it's even though it's a superhero movie, but oh yeah, it's a horror. It's they didn't get that wrong.
Okay, good to know. So check out Brightburn. It's in theaters right now. James Gunn is a producer on it. I want to make sure I get the writers' names right here before we move on. Elizabeth Banks is in it. David Denman's in it. He's what's Pam's boyfriend's name in The Office? I forget his name, whatever his name is.
I can't comment
And
because
then
that's for lesser people to know.
Oh, that's a good point. We want to make sure we don't touch that subject around Zane. And then Jackson A. Dunn plays Brandon Breyer. What's your rating of his performance? Just because he's playing this really creepy kid.
I mean, I think it's a 6 out of 6. Just the way he, like, I feel if you made him, or going back to my fiance Kelly, she thought he had no redeeming qualities. Or wait, was that what you and I were talking about? With no redeeming qualities.
Well, you articulated yesterday that he was kind of a flat character.
Yeah, and I think that's what made him more creepy, is having no emotional.
That's a writing issue. That's not a.
No, I thought it was perfect though. Him having, you don't want this character having redeeming qualities.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what made it even more scary when you thought of like the whole, big picture aspect with him, is if he had any redeeming qualities or thought like, oh, he could be better, then it's just like, well, then that could happen where it's like, dude, this dude's gonna be evil, and there's nothing you can change about it. And that's what makes it even more frightening.
Wow. So check out Brightburn. It's in theaters. Written by Brian and Mark Gunn. So there you go. There you go. It's pretty crazy. Sarah and my wife and I got to go check out Aladdin yesterday, and I'll kind of just quick, I'm going to say the synopsis real quick just because everybody's seen Aladdin, but want to make sure that I get it right for them. I guess I'm just going to have to do the quick one up top. A kind-hearted street urchin and a power-hungry grand vizier vie for magic lamp that has the power to make their deepest wishes come true. This came out on Thursday night. It made $7 million Thursday night. I don't know the whole budget on that. Maybe, Zane, you can figure that out while I chat. But I got to go see this with Sarah yesterday. And Disney's doing this push now. And I'll talk about this a little bit. Maybe you guys can kind of engage in the conversation on this too, of Disney is making these live action movies, and some of them are hitting and others are not. So from my perspective, I absolutely loved The Jungle Book. I give that movie a 6 out of 6. I'm really looking forward to Lion King just because of how Jungle Book looked. Beauty and the Beast, one of my favorite Disney cartoon movies of all time. Didn't turn out as good as I thought it was, the live action was. I thought it was a 3 out of 6, maybe even a 2 out of 6, because I gave Detective Pikachu a 3 out of 6, and I think it's better than that movie, so I'll say a 2 out of 6. I thought Cinderella was muff, so I'd give that a 2 out of 6, and I thought that Maleficent, when they redid that, was a 1 out of 6. I did not enjoy that movie at all, and I really, really love the character of Maleficent, so that's part of the reason that I just did not enjoy that movie. And so seeing Aladdin, I was a little nervous coming into it, and the reason is, and I found this out watching this movie, and I think a lot of people are going to find this out, is Robin Williams was such a huge piece of the classic. And Robin Williams' presence is sorely missed in this, but the best part of this movie was Will Smith. Will Smith plays the genie in such a way that I thought was a great homage to Robin Williams. There are specific jokes from the original that I just remember because I watched it so much as a kid, and Will Smith says it in just a different tone. And I thought he did a wonderful job. I loved Naomi Scott in this movie. She played the Pink Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. I give that movie a 5.5 out of 6. I love that movie. And I thought she was phenomenal in this movie. She has a couple of singing parts where I did not know she could sing. She can sing very well. I thought the sets were beautiful, but it did feel like a play. And that will play into my ranking of this movie because it felt like this movie was kind of a sorry, I hit my mic there. It felt like this movie was a Broadway show. It did not feel like this movie was kind of like The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book felt like this huge world I was going in. Even Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, I felt like I was exploring this world with those characters. I didn't feel like that in this movie. I kind of felt like Agrabah was a little stilty. It felt very fake for the most part. And even like we just saw Endgame and all the backgrounds in Avengers Endgame. It felt like it all was part of it. It didn't feel like it in this movie. And so I just wrote a couple things down. I absolutely hated Iago and Jafar in this movie. The actor who played Jafar was terrible. There was no menacing quality in his voice. He has this kind of higher pitch voice a little bit like this, and it really did not help him well at all. I thought the original Jafar just was so menacing. Iago was the worst part of this movie by a mile. I give it a fan-fortastic on Iago. That portrayal was horrible. I think I told you this last night, Mark. Gilbert Gottfried should have just come back and done it again.
In just a bird costume would have even made it better. Like not
honestly,
even CGI him, just
honestly it would have.
Throw some red paint on him. And
I'm not gonna. Well, you know what? For Aladdin, people have seen the original, so I'm not really spoiling the ending of this movie by talking about this. But they make a choice with Iago down the stretch in the climax of this movie that makes no sense. It's very weird, and it was like kind of they deviated from one choice that was made in the cartoon, and they made this choice with Iago, and I'm like, okay, you're losing me now. I felt like Jafar becoming a big old snake at the end of the original was more realistic than what they did with Iago. And so, yeah, and again, it's a cartoon movie. I get it. It's playing on my nostalgia. Didn't like that. The other thing is the guards just weren't scary in this movie. I don't know if you guys remember the cartoon guards from the Aladdin. Like, do you remember the really big one? You know which one I'm talking about? The character that plays him is like thin. And
really?
For whatever reason, that just didn't work for me. He didn't feel menacing at all. Just the people that were supposed to be bad didn't feel bad in this movie. And but I those are some nitpicks that I had. It felt like a play. I love Naomi Scott and Will Smith. This is their time to shine in this movie. Critics are going to tell you that these actors didn't do a good job. I didn't see it. I disagreed with it. I thought Aladdin did fine. I thought Naomi Scott was brilliant. I thought Will Smith was awesome. This movie is worth it alone going to see it. And I'm so glad. I thought going into this movie we were going to get like this hip-hop genie. I thought they were going to go with... Well, I thought they were going to play on his old rapping. I thought they were going to do that. And I thought, because they're going to try to get away from Robin Williams. I thought that's what they were going to try to do. They didn't do that. They
were producers, like, well, the best part of the cartoon was Robin Williams.
Exactly. I think they leaned into Robin Williams' portrayal. They let Will Smith do his own thing, but they didn't do the kind of stereotypical, what I think would have been tempting for them to do, hip-hop vibe. I felt like it was a really fleshed out character who was fun. They make some really fun creative choices with his character at the end of the movie that I was like, I liked that. They add some new characters because this is they add 35 more minutes to this movie. So there's new characters. Jasmine has this handmaid who is really great. She's played by the gal from New Girl, Winston's wife. I forget her name. She was in Saturday Night Live. I'll find her name at the end of this. She was hilarious in it. And Carpet and Abu were great. Magic Carpet was phenomenal. It felt like the cartoon, and the music was good. I really liked that. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 6. I think if you have kids at all, you need to go see this movie. This movie is perfect for kids. I think Disney, this is one of their better live action movies. I don't agree with the critics. I've heard some critics on this, and I did not agree as much as I thought I was. I went in very cynical, very like, this isn't going to work for me. I did not realize until after the movie how loyal I am to Aladdin, but I'm very loyal to Aladdin. And this movie is great. Will Smith's phenomenal. Props to him. I don't know how you take on a role like that with Robin Williams, making that character what it is and really making it almost adding depth to the character. I wouldn't say it was a better role than Robin Williams. I don't think that's a fair thing to do, but Will Smith did a great job and had an uphill battle to climb. So directed by Guy Ritchie, felt like a play, but
it's a Guy Ritchie film. I didn't know that.
It is directed by him. So, yeah, go see it. It's good. If you love the original Aladdin, I think you're going to love this movie 100%. So it's a lot of fun. It was really good. Disney's killing it right now. They're just killing it. They're doing great. So, yeah. Mark, you saw John Wick 3. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh. So if you want your socks rocked off Gaga style, go see John Wick 3. If you like John Wick 1 or 2, and you're thinking, how could they do almost the same exact sequences of him killing people and getting justice and making sure, everything works out at the end. It all happens again, and it's great. I didn't feel any, diminishing returns with this. Everything's kind of new sequences, new stuff going on, new characters introduced. I think just overall, just packed full of action movie, and I wish I knew the stat. I just want to know how many words Keanu Reeves says in the movie, because I feel like he doesn't say a lot, but at the end of the day, it's just he doesn't have to, because he lives by his actions. I mean, there are scenes where he's talking to, get his way out of some situations, but this movie tells a story. It's, following John Wick 2, and now he's, a wanted man by everyone within, the Assassins organization. His bounty's at like $14 million, and I think just full of fun and action packed. There's some good comedy bits in there with some of the people he's fighting. Halle Berry's in it. It's pretty awesome. And it also sets up at the end for a fourth one. So we'll get to see how that turns out.
Setting up for another one?
Oh yeah, I hope they keep making these things. And it's the same director for all three of them, because I went back and was like, man, this just felt like the last two. It's like, are they still getting the same director for all these? And they are. So this dude's doing it right, getting all the sequences done right, and making sure that, even though it is a sequel, and they call it a chapter, because really it is, because it literally follows right after 2. So it's not like, a year's gone by. This dude has just had a hell of a month, just, making sure he doesn't get killed and gets justice. And yeah, I thought it was great. There's a good opening fight scene where he's one-on-one with someone, and if you know your basketball, Boban Marjanovic, or I might be butchering that name.
Apparently you don't know your basketball.
Well, he's the 7'3" guy for the 76ers. He just got traded from the Clippers in the regular season to the 76ers, so I know a little bit. So that fight's
apparently you don't know his name.
So well, it's Boban something long, and
Boban something. We're just tackling the hard things.
Anyways,
thanks for the
but
information.
he's a 7'3" guy, and so it's kind of interesting seeing a fight between, Keanu's got to be 6 foot something, I think, because he didn't look like half his size. But it was that fight scene was interesting, and then the first kind of like a group fight scene when he's running through New York still. There was just some great cinematography there.
He's 6'1", Mark.
So yeah, well, this dude was still a foot and 2 inches taller than him, so that was interesting. And then I just felt I was constantly entertained throughout the whole movie. There's no really low spots for me. I suggest everyone should go see it. I would rank it a 5 out of 6 doing our rankings.
What do you rank the first two?
I would rank the first one a 6 out of 6, and then the second one a 5 out of 6 as well.
So I've never seen any of these movies. Give me just I want to hear just a 3-sentence this is why you should go see this series. Go.
The reason why if you see all 3 of them, you have to see the first one to kind of understand why he's doing this. But you don't kill an assassin's dog.
I've known that. That's obviously pretty obvious of this is what happens. But why are these movies so good? Is it just action packed the whole time? Does it have a good story?
I think it has a good story, and especially because it continues the story through all 3 of them. But I don't know if it's just Keanu Reeves' essence in these movies, where he's just kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, but just how it's portrayed, how it's shot, how it's directed. And what I really like, thing I've saw in fight scenes that I really enjoy, kind of the second main one where he's fighting a bunch of people, there's no background music. It's just grunts and throwing stuff and shooting. It's just, it makes you feel like you're there, you're fighting.
Right.
If this is a movie that you could see in 40X, that'd be awesome. You just get fake blood splattered on you, and maybe someone that works for the company kicks you in the face. You're like, oh my gosh, John Wick just kicked me in the face. But yeah.
Do you think how many of these do you think Keanu can do?
Oh gosh, give me 10. He's only 50 something.
Well, he's immortal, so he can just make them forever.
He could be our modern day what's his name? Bronson, the guy who did Death Wish in the beginning, or back in the
Charles
70s?
Bronson?
Yeah. He could just be that. He could be our Charles Bronson of our generation.
Absolutely.
Push out 10 of these. Yeah, I believe a 65-year-old Keanu Reeves can still do this. And I hope they just keep telling the same story. He just keeps getting older, but he will always look, his age. But, you can just keep doing them. Why not? If they keep making money, why would you not? Like, the only thing that would stop it would be kind of be like, I don't want to do this anymore. So
there's rumors that Keanu Reeves is going to be picked up for Marvel. And if he gets picked up for the Eternals, which I think is the franchise they're trying to connect him to, he probably won't be able to do a ton of these after that. Don't you think? Don't you think Marvel's going to be like, hey, we're signing you to a 6-picture deal or something? Or what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, if you're...
I guess hold on, time out. My question then is, would you rather he continue to do this or go into the Marvel universe?
Now you're putting me between a rock and a hard place, Max. I want both.
Which one would you?
Give me the reality
you only
where
get
both
one
is.
though. Which one you taking?
Well, John Wick's an existing property, where I guess I guess you are limited on what you're telling there. Where Marvel does such a great job, and as long as Feige is attached to it, we could get a lot of depth within whatever Keanu Reeves does. So I'll go with him being in Marvel.
Have you heard the rumor that he would be a great Wolverine? There are people that
I've
legitimately
read that,
think he'd be a great Wolverine.
I think what would be a better Wolverine would be Charlie Hunnam. Give me someone who's kind of short. Give me a short actor to play Wolverine, because that's what Wolverine's supposed to be. He's supposed to be 5'5" and
Danny DeVito.
No, Danny DeVito is the worst take, and whoever signs
You really are.
a
Did you sign that,
GoFundMe
Zane?
or petition to get him on
Absolutely.
is insane.
Old Man Logan, Danny DeVito.
We'll make sure we put that in the show notes, because if you're listening to our show, there might be a chance that you're not really a smart person anyway, and you're needing to sign this.
I feel like for people who call people lesser people for liking something else, I think you're being a hypocrite here with your Danny DeVito.
Oh, I'm
take
absolutely
as
being a
Wolverine.
hypocrite. Like, that's what makes it so funny.
And I like how people who do these petitions in pop culture, like especially with the Game of Thrones, you think you get 10,000 or 100,000 people writing something that this company's be like, oh, well, if 100,000 people think that we should redo season 8 of Game of Thrones, then we should do it, or put Danny DeVito as the Wolverine in the movie. You people are insane. I'm sorry.
What are the chances? Give me the percentage that if it got like say 5 million votes on the petition, 5 million, that Kevin Feige would put him in as a role as
like as a legit Wolverine.
Yeah,
with 5 million people.
If he had 5 million people vote it, what are the chances that
1% Kevin Feige may think about it? Because Kevin Feige's smart enough to be like, is this a long-term viable Wolverine?
Right, like I don't think he would put him in as a Wolverine, but if it got enough attention, he would definitely put him in as like a nod to something. Like he'd throw Danny DeVito in as like a guy cosplaying Wolverine.
That's
or
a good
something like
would
that.
Be perfect.
Right, it would be hilarious. Like I think if it got enough attention, he'd do something like that, but not obviously actually make him Wolverine.
I love that. That's awesome. Let's go to the last thing. We talked about the trailers now. I mean, we've talked about the movies, but on to some trailers, and then we'll go to what's hot, what's snot. Mark, the Westworld trailer dropped this week. All three of us watch Westworld.
Yes.
Big fans. Zane, you can finally contribute to the conversation. We're really
Absolutely.
We're glad you're here. You haven't said much today, so we're going to give you a lot of time. Westworld Season 3 coming out in 2020. Are you happy that they're going to wait till 2020 because we're going to get really quality television? Or are you like, Game of Thrones is done, give it to me now? Where do you stand on that?
We
Zane?
saw what happened when you wait a year for the last season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
I think we're over that. No, give us something now so you don't overthink your product, and then you give us what happened in the end tale of Game of Thrones Season 8.
Zane, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of that. Like, they built up so much expectation of what we were getting for Season 8 for Game of Thrones, and it was just so much of a letdown on that. But with Westworld, I think that I would rather them, take their time, fully flesh out this season, because there's so much they're working with, so many more, twists, and so I'd rather them, wait till 2020. Make sure you have like a good storyline, because I think this too provides them an opportunity to look and see the reaction people had with Game of Thrones, and they can take a step back and realize like, okay, we need to make sure we have everything together, because now this is what's coming down the line of being what's big on HBO now that Game of Thrones is over with. So I feel like that's kind of something they can look at and be like, we got to make sure all of our ducks are in a row on this, and we have a good season. Like, I don't know if 3 is just going to be the end of it or if they're going to get any other seasons, but I feel like it can be a bit of a precursor in saying, all right, we need a good story to continue what we had in the first 2 seasons.
Westworld is so interesting because this trailer kind of gave me exactly what I've been yearning, which is what happens outside of Westworld. What is life like for normal people? And they not only gave that to us, they gave that to us with one of the best TV actors in the last 10 years, Aaron Paul, playing a role. Mark, what did you think of him and his portrayal in this trailer?
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's something I've been wondering too. Like, well, what is just normal life in this future society where you can have these realistic androids? And I think we're going to get that. And then get someone like Aaron Paul who can, I mean, going back to Breaking Bad, he was great there. And I think you're just going to get a great performance. And hopefully we do dive into that. And hopefully we're not, M. Night Shyamalan at the end where, oh, Aaron Paul is an android too.
That's kind of the thing they're going to be doing for the next couple of years is everybody's going to be an android at some point, right?
You bamboozled me again.
Yeah, they're going to okie doke us all the time with
right.
it.
Like, I think that's a plot point they could get to of, like, it just continues expanding out that when in that first season in the park, you had it was all people with a small amount of, androids. Now they get out, now bring it kind of full circle on that the actual humans are what's that minority, like, of what's left on humans, and then, like, flip that on its head almost of now the androids are watching the actual humans in a park. And you can have, like, a recurring, like, a circle there of now they're watching the humans. Well, how are the humans going to respond? Like, how can the humans take, back this, autonomy or whatever you want to call it that these androids have now, and prove to be like, well, no, we're human. There's a reason why we're here, and we created you, and then take the power back from that creation,
Season 2 is so good. And I loved how they explored all the different worlds and all this different stuff, and going to the samurai world and showing Maeve's transition to kind of being on her own character. You're obviously watching Dolores become this incredible leader and frightening person, and then we get the big reveal, spoiler alert, that the Man in Black was also an android. And just, it's kind of playing, and again, we alluded to it jokingly, but this show is going to try and okie doke us with a ton of characters. At this point, is there anybody we 100% know with certainty that is a human? The answer is no. Tessa Thompson at the end of season 2 was even shown to not be a human. So, I mean, this show is just so layered. You watch this show 5-6 times, you're going to find something new every time. I'm really looking forward to season 3, and I think Aaron Paul is going to be able to bring some great acting chops to it. The other part that I really like, too, is do people on the outside of Westworld even know what's going on inside the park, truly? Because it's really only for rich people. So do we think Aaron Paul even knows what's going on? I don't think he knows. I think that's one of my predictions.
I think you might be right. I mean, that's something we'll have to see when season 3 comes out in 2020. But, I mean, maybe the city that they're living in, maybe that will be the thing he finds out is like, whoa, 80% of the people that live here are these androids. And that maybe is the season 3 is like, holy crap, are we living in a society where, kind of like you go to the Surrogate movie with Bruce Willis, where he finds out like everyone's using these fake bodies to live their life because everyone looks terrible when they're old, I guess is the gist of that movie. And maybe that's kind of what the season 3 will be about, is him figuring out, are we living a lie in the city, or is Westworld even bigger than what he thinks or has thought it has been?
And what are Dolores's intentions? Are her intentions to kind of take over the world? Is she going to use him as a pawn? Like, what's going to happen here?
Well, because I feel like that's definitely, like I said, about how things flip so much in Westworld. I can see it like coming out that so much of the first 2 seasons were about, Dolores and Maeve like finding, themselves with the whole thing of the maze and just like coming to the self-realization and all that. And now you get them out in the world. And I feel like that's something you can now twist with Aaron Paul, especially if he's an actual human. well, where can we have that self-realization of what makes a human human?
More
Like,
human than human.
Right, exactly. Like, where does it begin of that realization for him? Because we have that realization of, what makes the android special, but then I feel like that can be a flipping point with him of, what makes me special as a human? Well, like, what does actually set me apart from these androids?
Or what if he's the next generation of Man in Black? What if they're trying to kind of play that up? They're going to kind of keep the same line as the Man in Black had when he was younger, and then flip it kind of, as you said, like where he won't turn evil, he will stay good, or vice versa. He will turn evil again. History will show itself to be repeating. It happens even in Westworld or in the real world. History will, no matter what, repeat itself. And then the process will start all over. Maybe Dolores gets killed and there's a new Dolores that he's made. I don't know.
Right.
This show is
Well, that's one of the
phenomenal.
things that I liked about the show too, of how much excuse me. Well, not only just the technical aspect of it, but how much it flirts with the idea of morality and good and bad. And like that's kind of what you saw in those first few seasons of just, okay, well, human, have this sense of good or bad, but who's to say, everyone has a different interpretation of good and bad. And just the way that they toy and toe that line, and it really makes you realize, okay, well, humans do it, androids do it, and it just becomes this huge battle as you watch and as the story plays out of where are you on that line? Like, are you going to just toe that line, or are you going to embrace it, or, which way are you going to go? Are you going to let that define you, or are you going to let something else define you? Like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that really makes this a good show.
the best part about Game of Thrones ending is that HBO can lock in on Westworld now. It's the best part about it, and I think Westworld's the best property they own. I think it's going to prove that in the next couple of years. I don't know if it has the appeal to the wider masses that Game of Thrones had. I think, and we've talked about this on our show a couple episodes ago, is I think it's too sexualized at times. I understand that they're talking about the human psyche, and a lot of people are driven that way, but they got to work through that, I think, a little bit and really focus on, as you're saying, the really deeper issue of morality. The conversation itself is so appealing in this show that you don't have to show me any more of that. I really hope HBO chooses to stay away from that. And again, maybe we're a little more soft on the show. Well, at least I am. I know Mark isn't. He's a Brightburn guy. But, I mean, I really do think they do not have to do that any further. And if they can really tone it down the way, as you guys have said, Game of Thrones did towards the back end, I think they really have a special property on their hands. And I love this show. I'm really looking forward to season 3.
Absolutely. And well, I think season 2, just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, I think they toned it down moving on from like season 2 compared to what was in season 1. But I agree that that's not something that they necessarily have to focus on as much, especially now that you're getting out into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like
Or
now
what we perceive, or what they're telling us is the real
what
world.
we perceive as the real world. But now we can actually, now we're on to the bigger things, because in the park it was just the base emotions and feelings, and now you get out into what is perceived as the real world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I understand that thinking of it. I guess just from my perspective, I just want to compare this to Game of Thrones versus Westworld. No, they're different writers and producers, and they're two. Honestly, the production styles are completely different. Game of Thrones was, we got to go, get this out. Westworld has always said, we're taking our time. We'll see you
Are you
when
telling
we
me
see
that
you.
Game of Thrones didn't take their time waiting a whole year to put this out?
Not the way Westworld has. Westworld has done this from the get-go. Westworld took over a year to get season 2 out.
It was like a year and a half, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I think Westworld knows, without Game of Thrones, Westworld knows we have to make this really well done.
Right.
We don't care about your timeline. We care about ours. And the fans respect that. But I do think you're right, Mark. I think they're going to respect it more, that Game of Thrones kind of looks like they botched the ending. So we'll see. We're going to get into what's hot, what's snot now. This is a segment where we talk about what we've been watching in pop culture today, or maybe something in the past that we've brought up that we're looking at and want to get you on and maybe get you looking at as well. So, Zane, we're going to start with you. What's hot, what's not for you, brother?
That's a fantastic question. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it a lot, but I'm glad that they decided to do the reshoots on Sonic. Has potential. And then was that just today or yesterday?
They did just announce yesterday so that it will be released on February 20th. Mark, is that the day of your wedding?
It is not. It is February 15th.
15th is the day of your wedding. So we could go to...
If Fandango does an early showing...
We should. That'd be a great wedding present.
Yeah, it would be great. Can't wait for Sonic to come out with the...
Yeah, it'd be great.
Hey, you know, our movie sucks. Thanks, fans. We'll go fix that so it doesn't suck. That's my opinion on Sonic. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Zane. So, Zane, is that what's hot or is that what's snot?
Yeah. Be careful with your opinion.
Wait, Sonic or Mark's wedding?
I'll take both. Yeah, I'll take what I can get. Remember, I only sent you a save the date.
That's true. You know what? I'll just give them a both.
So when you're at home and you have that marked on your calendar and all your friends are not in town, you know why. You're still in town.
Mark got me. It's a lot riding on this. No, well, definitely Mark's wedding is what's hot. But I don't know if I want to fully give the Sonic a what's hot, but it's encouraging to see that they saw the reaction and were like, okay, we seriously need to fix this. I wish they just would have done this sooner before they were like, oh yeah, this is what we're going to roll with. Like, I wish someone would have watched, maybe Sonic X a couple episodes and been like, hey guys, what are we designing here? And done this before they had to take it to this step. But I'm glad they realized it and are taking the steps to fix it. Also, I guess I'll throw into my what's hot of, even though I kind of said it last time, but Cloak and Dagger this season has been very good. So I don't know if anyone else has been watching.
How many episodes are you into this now?
Well,
Tell me about this season. I want to hear about this.
I'm just up on this season. It's up to 8, I think. But just this season, they're getting into so much more of the use of their powers and what they're using them for. They're doing a really good job of exploring like Ty's powers and his connection to the Dark Force. And it just seems like every episode has gotten a little bit better. And so for people that aren't watching it and really want, something else to watch, I would highly recommend checking out Cloak and Dagger.
Okay, good to know. Anything else? It's okay because I got a big list. Mark, do you have a big list?
Yeah, you guys start.
I only have 2 and 2.
Good, I've got a big list, and I think you guys will appreciate some of the things on this list.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want?
So why don't you go first? Yeah.
Okay. So my what's snot? I'll start there, and this one I wasn't on my list until I saw Brightburn and saw some trailers, and thought, why is this? How is this a theatrical release movie? So one of my what's snot is the movie Crawl. If you know anything about that, it's like what I got in the trailer, like a daughter goes to find her dad during a Category 5 hurricane, gets stuck. Her dad's like in the basement. I don't know why he's in the basement stuck. And then
so you're not allowed to go to your basement now?
Alligators are attacking them in Florida. And it's like Jaws, but alligators.
And there's a hurricane.
And she makes a Jaws like quote, like, frick, I'm blanking on the quote, but makes like there's a famous quote in Jaws that she says in the trailer. So you're like, oh gosh, it's Florida Jaws with alligators. So it's going to be a great movie. JK. And they call it Crawl, but the alligators are always underwater. So really they should have called it Swim.
Right.
So that's one of my what's snot. But I'm going to go to my what's hot next, because one of my snots I think might be a good open discussion. I thought one thing that's hot on my list is Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh.
Wow. That's what's
Is that a what's not for you?
that is a what's snot on my list.
See, and I thought like you could go either way, but give me more Arnold as the Terminator. Just like how I know someone had Hobbs and Shaw as a Snot on there a couple pods ago.
That was me.
That was you, and I've now seen that on a big screen on for like trailers for other movies I've seen, and man, that like got my heart pounding. It's like I think I need to go see this movie, and now seeing the Terminator one with bringing back Hamilton, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is what I want. They're gonna rock my socks off. Maybe not Gaga style, but they'll get rocked off.
When you rock your socks off Gaga style, is that a 6?
Oh, that's a 6. Yeah.
Okay, so without the sock, so Gaga style is a 6. Rock your socks off is 5.
Yeah.
So John Wick 1 rocked your socks off Gaga style.
Yep.
But you said last week that John Wick 3 rocked your socks off Gaga style. Would
did.
you like to retract that then? Because that's
Well,
a 6 on your
Well,
scale.
we're talking about when we do our ranking with Infinity Stone rankings.
Yeah.
That's the quality of the movie. How I enjoyed myself watching the movie. That's a different ranking.
Okay. Good to know. I like that. No, I firmly disagree. So I'll say on my what's not.
That's why like it was in middle of the road for me, but I just thought like I'm gonna go see this. This is it's nostalgia grab. Schwarzenegger's in it, and I think it's gonna be all right.
There's a couple reasons I don't like it. One, I actually understand why you like it because Genesis was so bad. Genesis is a fan-fortastic, by a mile, hard one. No, hard.
Well, you can't
hard
give it a 1
zero,
if it's a fan
soft 1.
Because I would give it a 1, but
Is a fan-fortastic 1 or a 0? I forget.
fan-fortastic would be under 1. It'd be no Infinity
Okay.
Stones.
Then it's a fan-fortastic. It's a hard 0, soft 1. Genesis is horrible. For me, I would like James Cameron to go somewhere and never make a movie again.
But he's gonna make like 80 avatars.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me the first time. I would like James Cameron to go somewhere and never make a movie again. And this is another example of this. He's producing a Terminator movie. This guy has the goal to go out and articulate that movies like Wonder Woman are bad and that there's superhero nostalgia. You know what kind of nostalgia I have right now? Terminator nostalgia. I'm sorry, not nostalgia. I have Terminator angst. I don't need another Terminator movie in my life. I don't need another one. I don't need Schwarzenegger to prove that he's the Terminator ever again. Is it fun when he opens the door and he's all grizzled and old and they're like, we need your help? Absolutely, it's fun. But these movies are the same thing over and over. They're just messing with their own timeline, and it doesn't make any sense now. It doesn't make a lick of sense. And after all the arguing I've had to do over Endgame and how that movie ended with Captain America bringing the shield back, it's amazing that more people aren't passionate about the time issues. That's a friendly way of saying that in the Terminator series. This movie looks horrible, Mark. I don't know how you like this. I give it a 1.
That's fine. I will respect your opinion on this. I'm not going to fight you on
That's
this.
like the one guy said, the K Manimal. K Manimal says we're so respectful. Look at us.
Yeah, well, sometimes we are.
What do you
I'm
like?
not going to fight you on this.
No, I want to know what you like about it. Like,
it's just
help me
Arnold
understand.
Schwarzenegger. I've always been a fan of Arnold on the screen. Like, I can make fun of him as Mr. Freeze and Batman Robin, but like at the end of the day, as a kid, I loved that. I loved that so much. So it's like, I just like him as an action hero actor, and we're gonna get him with a gun just shooting people. And I don't know what makes me get thrilled about that, but it does, and that's what I want.
They got the guy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that played Ghost Rider, Zane. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
I hate the way he looks.
Oh yeah.
I hate the way he looks in this movie. He
Dreadful.
looks like his outfit looks like pedestrian, and I'm like, I don't need. You don't need to be pedestrian. This guy is a pretty scary guy. Let's maybe add a little more flavor to him, right?
You're right. I'll just move on to the next topic.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I can.
Okay, so
talk
my
about
other
that later.
what's hot is tonight, Saturday, May 25th.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
AEW Double or Nothing is happening tonight. And AEW is gonna be the next top or parallel for wrestling, professional wrestling, up against WWE, which hopefully, if everything goes well and there's an AEW successful, that's not only gonna make two promotions big and out in the world, but it's gonna make WWE better, a better product.
I'll just go ahead and ask, what is AEW, Mark?
All Elite Wrestling.
I just would like to interject here quick. I have something I need to add to my What's Snot list, and it's literally everything Mark just said.
Well, I will fight you, Zane, on this. I won't fight Max on the Terminator What's Snot, but your words, if you're coming against this, is how you get uninvited.
I just feel like okay, I can see it potentially doing something, but how can you look at this and not feel like this is going to be like the XFL from...
Time out real quick. Let's also make sure our audience understands why we're saying things the way we're saying. Mark's passionate about wrestling. You do you, Mark. I hate wrestling with passion. Don't want anything to do with it. Fan-fortastic news. Zane likes... Hold on, time out. Zane likes wrestling. Now you can clarify your comments. Go, Zane.
Right, like
no, I agree with that. That was my first thought when I first heard of AEW. It's like, well, is this just going to be another WCW, or like you said, like a failed promotion? But what I've been reading and heard, like the kind of chairman is
like
Tony Khan.
Who's putting this together?
With Tony Khan, who is the son of, I forget. It's his father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh.
So his dad has helped fund this, and he's running it. And his whole Tony Khan's whole idea is like, we don't want another WCW. And what they've done pretty good job, like they got Chris Jericho as like kind of like their big name, but they got a lot of young guys who are pretty popular to the hardcore wrestling fans. And these guys wrestled, overseas in Japan for New Japan, some Ring of Honor guys and some and then some AAA Lucha. And I think they're going to do a pretty good job. They say they already have a TV deal with TNT, so they're going to be on TV. And one thing I've heard with rumors, and I think this might be a good idea for wrestling, is they're going to have an off season. Like they're going to go like kind of like they're going to script it like TV. And hey, am I being kayfabed? It's scripted. It's like a TV show, Max. It's all almost like make believe, like your favorite TV show.
You mean like all of wrestling?
Yes. So I think they're coming at this with a lot of passion, and they don't want to repeat the past. So I think it's going to be successful. I hope it's successful. It's going to be better for the product. And one thing, I'm an avid listener of the Chris Jericho podcast, and he has said, back in the Monday Night Wars of WCW,
Mark on your mic. There you go.
The Monday Night Wars of WCW versus WWF at the time, now WWE, is both shows had 6,000 or 6 million viewers a night at some points. And he's like, where did all those people go? Like, it didn't all of a sudden when WWE owned everything that WWE had, for Raw had 12 million people watching their show. So those fans still, like, did they get snapped out of existence? So they're there. And I think when you have another rival promote, just like with any business, if you have another rival that is putting out great quality product, it's just going to help both of you get better. So it's not going to be stagnant anymore with WWE, and we're going to get this other product, and hopefully they do well, because if they don't, then I'm just going to be sad, but
right,
this WWE will still be there. So
right.
Okay, and then moving on from that.
Thank you.
My
Thank
What's
you, Lord.
Snot, and we're throwing in another pop. It's not even pop culture. It might be pop culture
Give yourself
related.
some space, bro. You're like screaming into your mic right
Because
now.
I'm so passionate about AEW.
Yeah, you be passionate about it all you want, man.
Okay.
I'm just saying, give yourself space so you don't sound stupid. Just like back it up a little bit.
Okay, so my last What's Snot is the MIAC athletic conference.
Oh my gosh, we're going into
yeah.
sports.
Kicking
Okay,
out
wow.
Yeah.
St. Thomas because their football team is so much better.
Okay.
Their enrollment's double the size. We can't compete because we failed to grow as a university or college.
Now, let's speak from a little context here. All of us played in the UMAC, so there is no football talent here compared to MIAC talent, okay? Let's make sure we articulate that on the front end. I would double down on this What's Not. This is absolutely What's Not, Mark. We're not going to talk about sports normally on this show, but I agree this needs to be said. What's happening with St. Thomas right now in the MIAC is an absolute shame, and the MIAC should be disbanded. And as far as I'm concerned, Bethel and who else?
St. John's.
St. John's
Was that the one that
should
voted?
pull away, and they should join another conference, or I'd say become independent and just play each other 3 times and then cross conferences
Well,
across
I
the
bet
nation.
money if St. Thomas decides to not join another conference, just be independent for a while, they'll schedule Bethel and
Oh, they're
St. John's.
yeah, they're not going to
Well, they
stop
have a
playing
rivalry
St.
with St.
John's.
John's. Like that game, them playing each other is always going to exist. So.
Yeah,
Right.
St. John's isn't going to go anywhere, so that's not going to change anything.
Didn't SVP say that? Like they've played St. John's and lost to them by 20. Like it.
They got third in the conference this year.
Yeah. But they still did beat the crap out of some of the lower teams that are like, oh, we can't compete because we don't try hard enough.
But they got third in the conference, so the idea that they're even like this much better than everybody else is infuriating. And honestly, if I'm a St. John's player or coach, I'm even more mad than St. Thomas is, because this makes the quality of your conference even worse. So when you get into a tournament setting or a tournament time and seeding is coming around, people are not going to rank you as high if St. Thomas is not part of your conference.
Especially if a team, like you said, with St. Thomas getting third, that means, wow, these other two teams that
They're
were
pretty
1 and
doggone
2,
good.
They apparently did pretty well this season.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree. We don't talk about sports normally, but I think this is turning into a national-wide conversation, and I think I'm so glad for St. Thomas that they're getting this national attention. This is only going to help their recruiting. This is only going to help their university is going to grow from this. St. Thomas is going to win this battle overall. I really think. I think Cruz has got a great coaching staff out there. I coach at Prior Lake, so I've had the privilege of kind of getting to meet some of those people, and they're really sharp. They know what they're doing, and so know some players that play out at St. Thomas as well. Their program will be fine. But what's not that as well, Mark? That's
I just thought it was relevant, and
It is relevant.
I thought it was a Snot situation.
That's okay.
And I wish St. Thomas had the power to just be like, nah, we're going to kick out St. Olaf and the other two teams that are pretty terrible in there. Hamlin.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Who else do we want to name? drop
Hamlin's
so
got a
that we
pretty
can
good
get
track
beat?
program, though.
Yeah, but that was another thing that they commented on, that St. Thomas wins all the team events or team collective events because they have so many, because their enrollment's double the size of the next closest person. It's like, at the end of the day, all you colleges and universities could have had a plan to grow your college and university to larger enrollment, and you chose not to, and now you're upset that some college did in your conference. I smell BS, and I smell that it's a cop-out. I feel if you're that strongly against it, then maybe you should drop out to a
Exactly.
lesser conference.
Go to a
like
different
UMAC.
conference. Yeah.
We are talking about air mattresses. We're talking about weddings, and now we're talking
And nipples.
about
Fourth
and
product.
nipples,
Or
and
fifth product.
we're talking about the NCAA Division III, upper Midwest Division III football. Wow, big stories, but it is national, so it'll work. I got a lot, and I think you guys will want to give some feedback on it as well.
Most likely.
We talked about the Terminator trailer. I'm going to start with what's Snot, because I like to start with negative then end positive. So, Mark, we talked about Saturday Night Live a couple weeks ago about Adam Sandler hosting, and Paul Rudd hosted a week and a half ago.
Are you going to tell me Paul Rudd's performance was Snot?
Not Paul Rudd. I think just the
DJ
show
Khaled's
itself.
performance? I would
The
agree
show
with you.
itself was muff, I thought. I gave it a 2 out of 6. I watched about 3/4 of it and then turned it off. I gave it a shot, and it felt like a weak episode. And really and truly, I don't know how you have a weak episode with Paul Rudd. He's one of the funniest human beings on the planet right now. And for him to walk out of that episode, for me not getting a great episode, stupid. And what a time to maximize Paul Rudd, as he's obviously talking about Avengers Endgame, and he's promoting that movie and all that stuff. I just wish they would have done better. Do not watch this Saturday Night Live season finale. What season was this? 42 or 41?
I believe it was 42.
Yeah, they're in the 40s. And
I would suggest go watch it. Just skip over the DJ Khaled performance.
oh yeah, DJ.
Because it's not
Khaled
really
was
him
terrible, too.
performing. It's him yelling his name and then having someone else sing.
The other trailer I watched was for Midsommar or Summer. I don't know how they spell it Midsommar. Looked interesting because it looks like it's a movie about a group of college age students that are trying to kind of get away for a little bit, and they go to this kind of little cultish area. I believe it's in Europe. They don't necessarily say.
I think it's like Scandinavia. That's kind
Is
of
it
weird.
skinny?
Yeah,
You
I
see
got
the
it.
trailer? You know the trailer I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about? Yeah.
I thought it looked interesting. I will go see that, but
It
it's
looked
going to be a horror movie, so
horrible. And not because it's a horror movie, but because it just like I watched it, and the more I watched it, the more I was like, "You're."
it gave me a Wicker Man vibe. If you've seen
Yeah,
that,
yeah, totally, yeah. The other thing I'd say too is I hate when a trailer spoils kind of what's coming at the end, and I feel like this trailer gave me a lot of what's going to happen. I really have the paint by numbers
like
now.
BBS.
Yeah, And I feel like after watching this, I'm like, oh, you know what? Now I know what's going to happen. This isn't the movie for me to see. Would I have seen the movie already? Maybe, maybe not. But I just hate when trailers do that. So if I get a chance to rip on a trailer because of that, I love to do that. But that's my negativity. My positivity, what's hot? I got to watch, Variety had this wonderful YouTube video about the Russo brothers' career, just all the different projects they've been a part of leading up to Endgame. And it is fascinating how these guys got their start. I'm a big Community guy. I know you guys watch Community. I'm also a big Arrested Development guy, which is why I think I love these guys even more. Is I just those are like two staples in comedy for me. Those are probably in my top 10 for sure of comedies all time in my head. So just hearing their perspective of, okay, we filmed the Arrested Development pilot and this is what we were kind of going for, and going, oh my gosh, they were really ahead of their time and they knew what they had to do. Or even talking about Community and how they didn't really actually, they talk about this in the interview, they didn't want to leave Community for the Winter Soldier. That was the only that was basically the only movie on their plate that they were willing to leave Community for, was a Marvel movie. And they had met with Marvel 4 times, and they brought up another thing that's interesting about Marvel is Marvel meets with people and hears their ideas and then warps their ideas as they go. So that's why people like Edgar Wright can still remain producers on their projects, because, oh, that was a big thing for the project, was Edgar Wright's feedback. So yeah, did he do much with the movie? No, but we're still going to give him a credit. Really great interview. That's about a 23 minute video. Totally worth your time. Make sure you check it out. I'm going to skip over this last one because I know, Zane, you're going to have a lot of interesting thoughts on it. House MD. We just restarted watching House. You can watch this on the Amazon Prime app. I forgot how great this show was. If you watch House, if you're just looking to watch a show that's basically saying things that 90% of the things they're saying go way over my head, but it has great character development nonetheless, this is the show. So my wife and I have been watching this. We watched it last week when we were in Green Bay for a wedding, and just want to give that a shout out. You can check that out on the Amazon app, and man, I forget how good that show is. The Ultimate Alliance Marvel game,
Yes.
that is coming out for Nintendo Switch. I am so excited for this game. Zane, you've seen these trailers. What do you think of this, man?
I'm legitimately going to buy a Nintendo Switch for this game.
That's so awesome. I own one already.
Yeah, you're
I cannot
cool.
wait. I cannot wait to play this with you.
We get it. You guys vape.
Well, the first 2 Ultimate Alliance games, like, I love those games. Like,
Yep.
I love just sitting and just running through that and getting to play with the characters and everything. And so when they finally said that, oh, hey, we're releasing a 3rd one, like, I was really big on it, and I was like, okay, let's see, what we have to work with. And the fact that it's Ninja Theory putting this together, they make really good games. I don't know if any of you guys have played any of the old, like, Ninja Gaiden games or anything like that, but, like, they make really good stories, and so I'm excited to see how this comes to fruition. And I mean, obviously we're getting the Black Order, so that's going to be the big thing with them and Thanos, but you're going to get plenty of other smaller villains that are working for them and everything. But just through watching some of the gameplay that they have released, like, I'm excited. Like, this looks like something you can sit down and have just a blast playing, or if you want to invite a friend over to play with people, like, it looks like it's going to be a very fun game. And then, so yeah, like, I'm fully prepared to go buy a Switch just so I can play this game.
This game, too, is doing a great job of marketing itself. They haven't revealed all the characters, which is like a total plus for them. They're going to have tons of characters, right? But they're also introducing these new characters that the comics have been unveiling lately, like Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Deadpool's obviously going to be in it. I'm just super excited for this game. I think this is going to be their kind of soft way of introing everybody from the MCU together. This is kind of going to be their way of testing the audiences of how do people respond to Wolverine being with Captain America against the Black Order, this idea that just came out, and really helping cast vision for the audience for, I think, what is coming forward with the MCU. But more importantly, this game looks sweet. The Ultimate Alliance games, you, me, and Isaac have played these games for years. I mean, we love those games, and so I could not be more thrilled about this movie. I mean, this game coming out, and I'm a big Switch guy. I love my Nintendo Switch. It's one of the best purchases I've made, and we're going to talk about that a little later in our top 5. But yeah, finally, I think all three of us are going to be excited about this. Black Mirror just unveiled their new 3 episode trailers that are going to be coming out soon. The titles are Smithereens, Striking Vipers, and Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. Guys, have you had a chance to see these trailers?
No, so just I have not seen the trailers, but I do like a lot of what Black Mirror puts out. So I will definitely have to be checking those out.
How much Black Mirror have you watched?
I think I've through everything that's currently on Netflix. So what is that? 2
Yeah.
2 seasons?
Are you a Bandersnatch guy? Did you watch Bandersnatch?
Bandersnatch was really good.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Mark, what about you?
I've yet to experience
Black
Mirror.
Well, no, I'm really excited.
And I want to experience it.
No, I Black Mirror, I have to kind of be like, because again, like scary stuff isn't necessarily my thing. So some of them I like, some of them I don't. I really like this trailer, especially the one for Striking Vipers. Anthony Mackie is going to be in that one, and it's going to be about him kind of rekindling an old relationship through technology with a college fling. And then the third one I said, that title of that one is Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. That's going to be starring Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus will play a big pop culture figure who has these little toys or avatars, maybe is the way to say it, that talk to you and are in your living room. And I don't know what the twist is going to be with that, but there will be a twist. It's Black Mirror. And then finally, with the Smithereens trailer, it's about a guy who kind of holds somebody hostage, and there's a specific reason for it. Topher Grace is in this trailer, but Topher Grace doesn't have any lines from what I understand. So again, a lot of mystery. These trailers just look really good. Again, I'm not the biggest Black Mirror guy, Zane. I know you love Black Mirror, but I watched these trailers and I was like, man, I'll tell you what, I am interested in watching this trailer. I'm interested in watching these shows. You guys have me interested. Anything with Anthony Mackie, my hand's in the air. Get me there. I'll watch it. I'm all in for it. So what do you think?
No, I'm excited. I mean, not only that they're bringing in some of these like bigger name people, like getting Anthony Mackie and I mean even Miley Cyrus, but just the Black Mirror is good in a sense that it's individual people that direct each of these episodes that gives a different flair and a different idea. And like, it's not necessarily sitting down watching, an hour and a half, 2 hour movie, because these are typically fleshed out in maybe like 30, 35, 40-minute episodes. Like it's just long enough that gets you thinking and it can be very intriguing. And it's the type of thing that if it's not really your thing or you're not quite into it, it's not like you're watching an entire movie that you're like, okay, well, that was just kind of dumb. Like, it's enough that it's either going to get you right away and you're like, that's really provoking, or it's just one of those things that you're like, yeah, this one's not really my thing. Maybe the next one will be better.
Yeah, Black Mirror is so fascinating. I love that they do the individual directors too, Zane. That's kind of a Marvel thing they've been pulling from, and Marvel's actually been pulling people from that show. I know that's how they got what's the actor from Get Out, the British guy, who they got him for Black Panther. What's his name again? I'm forgetting his name.
I'm drawing a blank as well.
Crud. Oh well. But they got him not because of his role in Get Out, but because of his role in Black Mirror. So just I love that they do that too, and I think they're doing a great job on that. So yeah, but hey, should we go into the top 5, guys? Ready for top 5?
Born ready.
Let's do some top 5.
We're going in 3,
Infinity Bros
2,
Top 5
1.
List starts now. All right, we've got the Infinity Bros top 5 list this week. Every week we try to do a top 5 list in homage to what we used to do back in the day. We used to do some streaming and we do a top 5 list. Trying to make Isaac feel good about himself, Zane. You know how that is.
Absolutely. It's all about making Isaac feel good.
This is what we're about. This whole production is for Isaac to feel good about himself. So, Zane, you were in charge of our top 5 list this week, and you said in a quote, with the news about Sonic, what are the top 5 movies you would like made from video games or video game franchises that have not yet been made. We're really looking forward to our list. Mark, we're going to start with you, then we'll go me, and then we'll go Zane.
All right. I have 3 honorable mentions. My first one, Earthworm Jim. I thought that we were trying to go movies with this, and that
That's a TV show, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Earthworm Jim's more of a series. I think there's a lot to tell story-wise there, where it's not definite. Another one I had on my list, which I think could be a movie, but I think would be better as, like a Disney Plus series. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Yeah, wow, The Force Unleashed. I think would be a good thing, or a good story you could tell, just kind of like a behind-the-scenes, dark Star Wars movie that, exists the same timeline as the movies, but you never see it. And then one I was going to have as my number one, but then my thought is like, oh, this really wouldn't work as a movie because there's so much going on. Pokemon Blue for the Game Boy. I think there's so much going on in that you could not... What?
Why blue? Why Pokemon Blue?
Why not Pokemon Blue?
Well, why not red or yellow?
Because blue is the best.
Yeah, blue's the best.
Can you help me understand why it's the best?
It's the best. You just have to have faith that it's the best. And I know you're good at that. Okay, moving on. So my top 5... my top 5 for this list. Number 5, Fallout 3. I thought Fallout 3 has a pretty good story to it. I think better than 4, and that's kind of where I left it at that. My number 4, I would put. Got tough. It got all mangled up for me, but I think I would go with Fable 3. If you ever played that game, which I'm sure everyone has, I think that's a good, medieval type of story you could tell with magic and all that jazz and stuff like that. Again, I thought it was better than the 4th one, so put that on my list. My number 3, and I have a little more to add to this, is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Make a movie version of that so you could tie in characters from Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, because those kind of, I believe, happened in the past, but then also bring in characters from Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5. So you could tie in a Grand Theft Auto universe. So then you could go back and tell the Vice City story and Grand Theft Auto 3 story, and then move on to the future with, 4 and 5. Then my number 2 would be Batman Arkham Knight. I thought that one told a really good story. I mean, Asylum was pretty good too, and I think I could add that to my honorable mention. But just the reveal at the end that Arkham Knight's, Jason Todd, and I think that would just be, you could really tell a good movie, and that also you could use a lot of rogues galleries of Batman's villains, get more of the detective side. Maybe that's what the Batman, come full circle will do. Maybe they'll take something from Arkham Knight or the Arkham series. And then my number 1, because it's one of my favorite games I ever played, is Star Wars: The Shadow of the Empire. I want that movie. I want a Shadow of the Empire trilogy, saga, just a bunch of rogue scoundrels, bounty hunters, action. Give me the Haas and Shab of the Star Wars universe. Just nothing but action-packed. Don't need a ton of Jedis or Sith.
Hang on, did you just say Haas and Shab?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you know what I meant. That's 2 different things. But yes, my bad. But yeah, my number 1 is Star Wars: The Shadow of the Empire.
Well, I'll go next. Hobbs and Shaw is horrible. I could not disagree with you more on that, Mark. But I'm glad you have opinions. Honorable mentions. Final Fantasy made a movie years ago, but I'm just gonna ignore that. And I think everybody else here should too.
I didn't even know they had a movie, so
it's not good. Mike Coulter's in it. No, Mike Coulter's in the Halo movie.
Yeah, he's in
the Halo movie. Never mind. But they made a Final Fantasy movie and it's horrible. I think Final Fantasy is sitting on gold there, and they could really do a whole franchise out of it if they had a Feige kind of mind doing it. I don't know why people don't ask for it more. It's been around for so many years, and it seems like everybody plays it. But yeah, Final Fantasy, I would love that. I'd love a Metroid Prime game. Talking about Samus, this is the perfect age and time to do it too. Studios are looking for films with strong women leads. You could put anybody in the Samus suit, to be honest. It doesn't matter
Right.
who's in there. I don't care who they pick. They could pick anybody. So if you get a strong female lead, you could do some really fun stuff with that. Mark, I loved your list. Number 5, I had Arkham Asylum
Ooh.
for that. I totally agree. Here's what's funny. Like, so we say I don't need another Batman movie. I have said that, right? Where I think this game would do a really great job is in like 5 to 8 years, really plan out, get all the original villains, the best villains from all these Batman movies, bring them back, do an Arkham Asylum movie, excuse me. Like, if it's, even like an old Mark Hamill, could you get him back as Joker? I think you could kind of make that. That's where they should have done.
I want to comment on that.
Old grizzled.
If we don't get
Affleck.
an old Joker played by Mark Hamill live action before he's gone, I don't know if I could live on without that being in the ether and out there.
Do you think they've had that conversation with him?
I feel like they've had to, or someone's had to have, maybe not directly with him, but had that conversation.
I feel like if they did, he would have said it. He's pretty vocal about his stuff. I don't know. I agree, though, Mark. Number 4, I have Oregon Trail.
Ooh.
It'd be really fun to see an Oregon Trail movie.
Everyone dies of dysentery.
No, I just think that'd be a fun movie, and it doesn't have to be like the game. It could actually be a well-thought-out Western-style movie. Number 3, everybody knew this was going to make the list, is Kingdom Hearts.
And then 2 and 3 are your
Yeah, the 2 and 3 are the
1.
other Kingdom Hearts. I'm just saying the whole series. I'm not picking a specific game. No, Kingdom Hearts, and we were talking about this offline too, Mark. Like, that probably is more of a Disney Plus series, is what they should be doing. Taking all these live action characters that they're making from these movies and having Sora and Donald and Goofy exploring their worlds. Give me that game. Give me that show. I'm all about it. It's the best game of all time, but I don't know if it would make the best movie, is what I'm going to say. Number 2 is, I think, Super Smash Brothers. You do a Metroid world. You do Detective Pikachu. You kind of have started building groundwork. You can do Mario and all that other stuff. People like ensemble casts. That's just what the market is demanding. It's what they want. Even with Justice League. Justice League didn't have much traction going into it. People went initially because it was an ensemble cast. I think Super Smash Brothers could carry it. It would require a little bit of work on the front end, but I think it would be a great one. And then this movie, it makes 0 sense to me, my number 1. It makes no sense how The Legend of Zelda has not had a franchise movie started yet. It makes 0 sense to me. People would freak out, I think. And you could just pick up like a Tom Holland aged kid and have him work through life. And those are your different movies. You could pick a really strong Ganondorf kind of villain. Zelda could have her own spin-offs. There's a lot they could do there. I don't know how Nintendo has not pursued a Legend of Zelda series or franchise yet. It is beyond me. That's my number 1. Zane, on to you.
I agree with that 100%. And it's interesting, just my list. So, like, we have a couple copies, different in spots. But just to start out with some of my honorable mentions. Again, like I actually, for honorable mention, I have the Super Smash Brothers, just because it would take so much work to set up, but it would be such a cool thing to see. The ensemble, it's something we grew up with. I also have like Metroid as a honorable mention. And this kind of had to go to honorable mention by default because it's getting a Netflix series, but The Witcher, because I love those games, but since it's already kind of getting something, so I'm just going to throw that in my honorable mention. Excuse me. So my number 5, I'm going to say Kingdom Hearts as well. I feel like there's
Praise be.
so many characters and storytelling that can be done there. That would be very cool to see on the big screen.
Suck it, Mark.
Number 4 for me is actually, again, Legend of Zelda. Especially, I would like more maybe like a Breath of the Wild or even like a Twilight Princess type, an older Link that you can kind of put into that world. You could make it work too with younger, but I think it would just come over better with a older Link, older characters in that universe, because then you can just, I feel like, do more with that. Number 3 for me is, I don't believe either of you guys played this game, but the game Horizon Zero Dawn, and especially what we got into with it's Aloy is the main character, and it would be a female-led movie, and that's such a thing that people are clamoring for now. And just to have that on the big screen, because she's such a cool character, she could very much be a character for, girls to look up to. And the story-wise, anyways, is just very cool. The universe is cool. So for me, at 3, I gotta say Horizon Zero Dawn. And my 1 and 2 are almost interchangeable, just because I like them so much and I'd love to see it fleshed out. But number 2 would be a legit Halo movie. I know, like you mentioned, the one that Mike Coulter was in. They've done little offshoot type things, but I want a legit movie that follows Master Chief and just really hits that main story of what we have through the Halo games, and not just, Forward Unto Dawn, which is very cool, but just that really follows the main Halo storyline. And my number 1 for me is God of War. I would love to see a God of War movie. It would most likely be difficult to pull off, but just from playing the games, and the most recent God of War game that came out might be my favorite game like I've ever played, that there's so much lore you can pull from, and it's such a cool story. And I mean, it's an angry bald dude running around killing gods, so like it would be very entertaining.
Real quick, who would you fan cast as the lead for each of your movies? Mark, who would you fan cast for the lead of your movie?
For my number 1 or all of them?
You're number 1. We'd be here all day if we did all of them.
Gosh. So if we're doing Star Wars, Shadow of the Empire, we're casting for, now I'm blanking off the top of my head, because you put me on the spot.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think who I would do too.
Because you want to go someone a little bit younger, so you want to go with like Harrison Ford when he was first played Solo, so like that age, like early 20s or late 20s, early 30s. Dash Rendar is the character, and he's supposed to be in some iterations. I mean, he's not canon anymore, but supposed to be like a half brother of Han Solo. Maybe I know Chris Pratt's 40 now, but I mean, someone like that would be a good pick. Some more you could get rugged. Maybe a Dave Franco might be even a good choice, or even a Zac Efron, because Zac Efron's beautiful and probably play Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy, or as Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Gosh, I hope he does. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
Zane, who would you cast for yours?
Who would I cast as a large, angry, bald man? Amos Schmidt.
Yep.
No.
But he's like 5'6", so.
That is a really good question. Just, I mean, like, first instinct would be like a Tom Hardy-esque character.
5'8", move it up.
And I don't know. It's such a hard character that would be able to capture the essence of Kratos. So I feel like it's a tough one that I can't really come off.
Do you almost go with almost maybe a no-name type person just to
yeah,
fit the
that's
body?
kind of what I'm
who
thinking.
Can act, but
right.
Batista would really crush that role, I think.
He's just
yeah. If you're gonna do Origin, like if you're gonna do the first one,
right.
you do want someone where you could grow to the new one.
So I almost think it'd almost work better, kind of with a new up and comer.
You get Braun Strowman talking about wrestling.
Oh,
he's a big dude with a beard, but I don't know if he can act though. That'd be
right.
That'd be a stretch.
I've never heard of her. I'd pick Dylan Sprouse.
Well, your opinion no longer matters.
Oh, can I say?
I'm sorry.
Opinion?
Yeah, you can.
I would pick Dylan Sprouse.
Why not Cole?
Dylan has the blonder hair, and shut your mouth, Zane. You chose somebody that nobody who listens to knows. Okay. So
he did say Tom Hardy, but yeah.
Well, he said Amos Schmidt, and still nobody's like, who the heck is that? They're talking about air mattresses, nipples, and guys named Amos Schmidt. I'd pick Dylan Sprouse. He's young enough. He's 27. He could carry the role for a while. He still kind of does look a little adolescent. And so that would be a good fit for the role. He could just grow into that character. And, pick up, honestly, maybe just because I saw Aladdin yesterday, give me Naomi Scott as Zelda. I'm all about it. She was great. She plays a princess well, but she's also a really strong figure. She could carry her own, as we saw in Power Rangers. She can do her own thing, too. So, yeah. So, great list, guys. Anything else you want to add before we close out the show today?
I actually wanted to add more to who I thought could be my actor. Or the actor for Shadow of the Empire. I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he's the leader of Cersei's naval ship. I'm forgetting his name. Who's part of the Iron Islands, the uncle of the Greyjoys.
Is that Euron?
Euron, yep. So that actor, I think he might even do pretty good at, kind of just, you pretty much just do that character. Mute it a little bit so he's kind of like a good guy and throw him in as Dash Rendar.
Yeah, that should be really good. So, well, hey, thank you for tuning into our show today. We're really glad you came. You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just look up the Infinity Bros. Look for that little thumbs up with the Infinity Gauntlet on it. That's where you're going to find us. Hey, if you've got listener feedback, shoot us an email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com. And if you're on iTunes, please go give us a 5-star rating. Join all the other 18 weirdos that did that for us. We'd love to hear your feedback. We will read it on the show, even if it's a 1-star. We might make fun of you, but we'll read it, okay? We're going to read it. We're going to give you your time in the sun. So if you are listening, please go give us a 5-star rating. We want to hear your perspective. But as always, thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us. We love you 3000. Have a great rest of your week and have fun. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.